This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Yes.
Toxic, or people aren't showing up for you the way that you want them to, or whatever the case is. We're so sure that we're right, you know?
Yeah. Have you? I'm sure you're familiar with the Inside Out movies, the Disney Pixar movies. There's a scene in the second one that I absolutely love where anxiety is like running amok, is taking over Riley's brain and like destroying everything. And there's a moment where the anxiety character slows down and looks at another character and says, like, tearfully says, I was just trying to protect Riley. And like, I think that's so true, that these parts of us, I mean, Inside Out is just a great IFS primer. It's just a great, like, high level IFS theory. But I love that moment of like, even this thing that we all point to and say, I don't want to feel anxiety, really is just trying to do what's best for us.
Leo season's here, and if you've been craving the courage to show up and be truly seen, I made something for you. Safe to Be Seen is my new seasonal workbook filled with soul-centered prompts, mirror work, and grounding rituals to help you embody your light without fear. This isn't about performance, it's about presence, and you're ready. Download it now at my website, empoweredwithmelissahepner.org, or you can go to my link tree on my Instagram, and there is a link directly there. Emotionally unavailable. Welcome to Emotionally Unavailable, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of emotional availability and intimacy. I'm your host, Melissa Hepner, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have you join me on this journey of self-discovery and connection. Whether you're navigating the complexities of relationships or exploring your own emotional landscape, this podcast is here to inspire, empower, and entertain. So get cozy and let's explore the depths of human emotions together. Hey guys, happy Friday. I hope it's fabulous. I'm really excited because today's episode is the first one that I recorded on Riverside so that I can upload it to YouTube. So if you like watching YouTube, you should go there after you hear the audio. I don't know. I do that. My favorite podcast, I listen to the audio and then I watch the YouTube video. I actually like to fall asleep to YouTube videos. Anyways, that's neither here or there. I'm just excited. Okay, so today's guest is wonderful. His name is Kurt Bush. He's a certified internal family systems practitioner, trauma-informed coach, and co-founder of Brimstone Coaching Group. Lord, Mercury retrograde is getting me. With a background spanning corporate leadership, pastoral ministry, and coaching, Kurt helps leaders break free from self-doubt, embrace authenticity, and lead with confidence. Having overcome his own struggles with imposter syndrome, Kurt is passionate about guiding others through transformational growth and authentic leadership. Through Brimstone's unique E+R=T approach, which means encounter plus reflection equals transformation, Kurt equips individuals and teams to move from exhaustion and frustration to clarity and wholeness. He is also the co-host of the Brimstone Coaching Podcast, where he and his coaching partner explore leadership, personal growth, and breaking through barriers. So Kurt and his coaching partner have recently just released a book. The book is Live Fully, Lead Authentically, the surprising link between self-awareness and your impact. Great book. I have a copy. I hope that you guys will check it out. I'm going to leave a link for that in the show notes, as well as his Instagram, website, and Facebook. And Kurt's amazing. I literally, I loved having this conversation. So I know you guys are going to like it too. Check out his links. I guess that's it. Be patient with the ads. I love you. Here's me and Kurt.
Emotionally unavailable. I saw on your Podmatch profile this morning, as I looked again, that you do internal family systems. And I'm like really excited about that because I've only just started kind of learning about it. I know I am a very baby in terms of my understanding. I mean, I get it, but like I researched it a little bit for a submission that I was making to talk because I wanted to say like this is an excellent modality to use. Here's a brief outline. So it's like I get the brief outline, and in practice, like for myself, I'm not like I have taught a couple clients, but just like the idea that there is this part of me that just hasn't caught up because I do this. I believe resistance keeps us stuck, but one of the ways that I resist is resisting pain and resisting thoughts. And I just don't think the shutting myself up, dismissing myself thing was working all that well for me, and determining which time it was okay to do that and which time it was actually an avoidant quality, you know. So what I've started to do, I kind of want some feedback about this to see if I'm doing this right. What I've started to do is like, if an old pattern comes up in my brain and it starts and I would really just want to just be like, shh, and move on, what I've started to do is, hey, Melissa, there's a part of us that just hasn't caught up to where we are right now. And that part obviously still feels betrayed or still feels this or whatever. And so I'm going to invite you to just be here with us and understand this. Feel a lot better when I do that. So I'm like, am I doing that right, Kurt?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I love the language of like, I'm going to welcome it here. Yeah, I think that's exactly right.
Okay.
I would recommend you to do just that. I mean, I think the next step is like, how do you tell that part of you like, hey, thanks, thanks for doing what you've always done. Thanks for, thanks for protecting me, whatever it is. And, if it's you didn't say what this part of you is trying to do, but if it's trying to manage or firefight, it's okay to say, hey, I actually don't need you to do that right now. Thank you. I know that you're trying to do what's best for me, and I don't actually need you can take a break. I think that's sort of the next step in that process.
I'm actually going to unplug because I don't like how loud my volume's having to be to hear, and that makes me nervous. Good. It messes with your video too. Everything's still going. Okay, just making sure. I hope that it will.
Yeah, I've got you.
But I don't like if my mic is having to be all the way up, I'm doing something wrong. So I don't know what I've done. Great. Love that for me. I like what you just said because you're exactly right. And one of the thing that I actually tell everybody about is a book that I was told about on this show. It's not about IFS, but it is, but it's not. It's called the Finding Peace Workbook. And the way Troy Love breaks down stuff is like your attachment wounding and then your shadows of shame. And it is just different narratives that come out and just breaks shame down into different archetypes, the same way IFS does. And part of the practice is to say, like, what are you here for? Like, what are you protecting me from? And I realized how much of that was just me shielding myself. I mean, God, being resistant to pain, that's all of us. I just think I just have noticed it, but I do like getting really curious and saying like, what what is this trying to protect me from? Because it's almost like shadow work at that point, you know, figuring out like,
Yeah.
what are my patterns here? What have I been doing all this time that's keeping me
Yeah.
stuck because something's coming in to try to protect me? And here's the point I want to make too, is that like, we are so sure in our conscious present self that we're right, that that person's
Yes.
toxic, or people aren't showing up for you the way that you want them to, or whatever the case is. We're so sure
Yeah.
that we're right, you know?
Yeah. 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 Have you, I'm sure you're familiar with the Inside Out movies, the Disney Pixar movies.
Yeah.
There's a scene in the second one that I absolutely love where anxiety is like running amok, is taking over Riley's brain and like destroying everything. And there's a moment where the anxiety character slows down and looks at another character and says, like, tearfully says, I was just trying to protect Riley. And like, I think that's so true, that these parts of us, I mean, Inside Out is just a great IFS primer. It's just a great like high level IFS theory. But I love that moment of like, even this thing that we all point to and say, I don't want to feel anxiety, really is just trying to do what's best for us.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And like, this is not totally related, but I'm feeling the need to talk about it. Yesterday, I was making a bereavement call because I still do that for the hospice that I've worked at forever. It's really part-time and I just do it from home. But I was talking to a lady, and most people, when they answer the phone, they're like, yep, we're good. And I say, I had to develop like a question for the next, like, yep, I'm good. And I'm like, fuck, this is awkward. What do I say now? So I just started asking them how their support system is, because that's the whole point of the call anyway. But it was revolutionary for me because I had so many awkward calls. But once we got past that part, she's really stuck in her head right now. Did I do everything I should have? Did I this? And I'll tell you, like, absolutely, this person was terminally ill. Like, there was nothing. And I even went through the medical records with her a little bit to explain some stuff. But I said, you know, our brain isn't equipped to deal with this. It doesn't know what to do. It knows how to think to keep you alive. And so that's what it's got you trapped in, is this cycle of just spinning your wheels. You don't actually think that you didn't do enough. It's just the only way you know how to process this. So like, if you could just sink down into your body and be like, oh my God, my mom's gone. You know, like if you could just feel the weight of that, it will stop this. Kurt, she didn't listen to me. I'm not going to lie to you. She did not stop her overthinking the entire conversation. And I was just like, well, I did my best. But to me, it's, I like, now I view the shadows of shame and all the roles of IFS like as the way that our brain's like, oh, trauma, feelings. Okay, we don't know. That's none of our business. So what we will do is serve really catastrophic things on a platter for you. So
all right. Quick break. Knock, knock. Who's there? Amazon Music. Amazon Music who? Amazon Music, where Prime members can listen to top comedy podcasts ad-free. No awkward interruptions, just nonstop laughs from your favorite shows. It's free, it's funny, and hey, it's better than my Knock Knock jokes. Download the Amazon Music app and let the good times roll. Or go to amazon.com/ad-free comedy. That's amazon.com/ad-free comedy to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
that you'll know how to keep yourself in a really small box, you know?
Yeah. We say it like this in our coaching practice, that our autonomic nervous systems learn those fight, flight, freeze responses really early. And really our bodies, when they feed us those things, like, no, I'm not going to take this advice from this woman who's really trying to help me. I'm going to do the thing I've always done. Like even that is a response from our bodies that want what's best for us. And I think you're right. Like, how do we get to we would say, how do we get to the balcony and be able to look down into our lives and say, like, what's actually going on here, you know, to help us process and then move through it, not move around it, move through it.
Right. Well, what's the answer to that question? How do you get to the balcony? What is your advice for that?
Yeah, so I like this question. I think first we have to know when we're stirred up and triggered, right? If I don't know, like, you know, when I get anxious, my ears get warm, my lip quivers. Like if I don't know those things about myself, I'll never be able to get to the balcony. Like if I don't know that something is taking over that's not my best thinking, and like big T trauma is different, right? I mean, I think your example, like big T trauma is not always that easy, but if I don't know that something's going on inside of me that's gonna cause me to do things I wouldn't normally do or respond in ways I don't want to respond in, then I'll never stop it. But if I can become aware of those things, now I can start asking the question of like, what's true? For me, that's the question that gets me to the balcony, is like, what's actually true? And I can't always answer it in the moment, but I can think about it. And I think for me, that helps me like get a bigger picture. Like what's true is I'm not going to die in this situation. What's true is people aren't going to disconnect from me. What's true is anxiety doesn't have to drive the bus all day, every day. I think for me, that's a question, like what's true? Or some of my clients will ask, what's the threat? Because our bodies are always responding to a threat. You said it before, like threat of feeling pain, threat of being embarrassed, threat of being rejected, like what's the threat? And is it real? It probably was at one point. And our bodies needed to protect us from it. And what's often true is that it's probably not always as present today as it once was.
Yeah. Wow. That made me emotional a little bit, because I remember the first time that I started to recognize what was happening inside my body when I was being incredibly reactive, because that's the place I lived every ounce of my life. And so I really, like, I don't remember what all my host profile says, but I had a very extensive history of childhood trauma. And I had no idea what it did to me. I just had none. When I started to understand trauma outside of the scope of veterans PTSD, because like I'm a zennial, so we didn't have information. I remember PTSD for veterans being this very like eye-opening, huge, groundbreaking, breakthrough in mental health. But I didn't recognize, or nobody did. They didn't apply that to people like me then. It was just veterans, extreme stress, extreme all the things.
Yeah.
I experienced that level of trauma in childhood. And so I think about the way my brain was programmed from infancy. And then when I started to understand, oh, okay, so I'm reacting because my body is programmed to do this and it gets me in this place so that I can escape danger. But having no idea what to do next was almost worse, because then the next probably 8 years, I just shamed the shit out of myself for knowing better and not doing better. I didn't know better.
Yeah.
I knew that I was having a response. I knew that it wasn't my fault. But now that I have the information, it is my fault because I'm supposed to do better. But I didn't have a single understanding of what was happening up here. That's why like the first step of my framework now is quiet the noise. Whether it's through IFS, the Finding Peace workbook, all of it, a coach, whatever, you have to learn how to click that off and get out, because I was a classic overthinker. I lived in my brain. And then in a mental health crisis, I was so dissociated that like that was happening. I mean, I would leave my bedroom. I don't have a big house. I would leave my bedroom and be lost in the hallway because I couldn't even what are we doing? Just so zoned out. Yeah. I'd forget what the hell I was doing and get lost in the hallway and be like, oh God, let's try again. I mean, I would do that like 4 times sometimes because I was in that bad of a place. And so now understanding what was happening in my brain, why it was happening, and what I needed to do to get better, man, that's what made me so emotional, because it was like, God, if I just had this information so much earlier. And I know I wasn't, I believe it was a part of my path to get this information at this time and to have the awakenings that I have. But man, it's a scary world out there for people who don't even know what's happening inside their body.
It is. And I think the numbers, I mean, I don't have numbers right offhand, but I think the latest like Harvard Business Journal study I saw was something like 85% of the people in America would not call themselves self-aware, or something like that. I mean, it's a tough place to be self-aware out there in the world.
It is.
I don't know. I don't know how I mean, I didn't find this work for myself until my early 30s. And I think, man, 20-year-old Kurt would have benefited so much from this. And it's kind of like a tree. You know, they say, when's the best time or there's two good times to plant a tree, 10 years ago and today. I think that this sort of work that you're talking about, the sort of work that we do, it's the same way. Like, I think we all would love to have had this in younger versions of ourselves. And the second best time to start is right now.
Yes, and also, I don't think our 20-year-old selves would have taken in this information all that well. I mean, we knew everything.
Yeah.
I'm alarmed that amount of people would report themselves as not self-aware, because I would have reported myself as very self-aware. I was so smart, Kurt. Like, I knew everything, and I remember being like, you haven't experienced anything. Because, I mean, I had gone through a lot by 18. But, like, I only knew my story. I didn't know how to function. I didn't know how to have relationships without being a psycho. I've never been that great of a friend. On the outside, I look like a great friend because I'll, buy you stuff and, I show up to your stuff, and I will always listen and give a lot of unsolicited advice. I sure will. But I wasn't connecting with anyone authentically. I wasn't. I wasn't giving myself to anyone. And I didn't know that. Thought I was because I was so good at trauma dumping. But I had, like, the thing, whenever I said we're so convinced that we're right, that the narrative is true, it's fact.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just now not pushing people away just because I shared something that made me feel scared to share, and then I didn't like their response. Yeah. Kurt, I've lost so many friends that way because I would just like, I'm going to try it, but then they didn't respond the way I wanted them to, and then that's it. Like, I couldn't be their friend anymore, because to me, I was like, you're worthless. Like, you can't even blah, blah, blah. And not in like you're a bad person, but it's like, I just knew you weren't going to be there for me. Hello, that is the exact definition of a negativity bias. And I'm only just now seeing this. In like the last 4 months, I'm able to identify more and more of the ways that I have shut people out and tried to tell myself it's because of their behavior.
Yeah, that's really profound. I think you say something really profound when you talk about, like, there is a need to be ready for this work, and we do need to find this spot where, like, we don't know it all anymore, and we kind of have to come to the end of the things we know how to do. That's really profound. I mean, how do you? Sorry, I'm a question asker. If that's okay. How do you? Today, like, how do you reckon with that? Like, I don't hear a lot of shame in your voice when you tell me that story. Like, how do you get to that point where you can say that today? And like, I just don't hear a lot of shame.
I think that that's been the part of the journey, is the biggest part, that all the IFS, all the shame work was to get me to the place where I'm really comfortable being human and being imperfect and messy. Like, that was the point for me. And when I could release perfectionism and release the need to control everything and understand I never had control in the first place. It's just easy for me to be like, I love myself so much, and I'm loving myself more every day by figuring this out, because I've been the key to all the dissatisfaction in my life, and I've been the key to all the hurt feelings in my life. Like, I know that so well. I just had to start asking myself better questions to get to this. So now that I understand, I won't lie, it's not that much easier. The after is easier. No. I can care for myself a lot better. So when it happens, I will feel the escalation, because it's always going to be my first thing. I'm going to get in the red real quick. And now I can get out of it really quick too, and be like, oh, like, I've just started talking to myself like, oh, we're expanding our container for this. Like, you haven't been really good at this, and you're getting really good. That's great. Like, I'm just really encouraging. I try to be my own coach, I guess. Like, I'm no bullshit, like, I'm not going to say something to someone else that I'm not going to say to myself. And I think me using me as the medium for everything, because that's what I've told my clients from the very beginning, is like, you're going to get exactly who I am. I'm not playing. I'm not going to be professional. I'm going to give you every ounce of my magic, but that comes with cussing, vaping, whatever it is that makes me feel comfortable in the meeting. Like, I'm going to give it
Yeah.
to you because I am really good at this, but it's only because I have been through it. Like, it's not my
Yeah.
LCSW that makes me an amazing therapist. It's the fact that I came out the other side, and all I'm doing is sharing my tools. Like, hey, this is what I found, you know. But I mean, I think shame being the center of my whole life for 44 years, and then this last year being just this beautiful release of all that, it's hard to feel shame over something that I'm so excited to have figured out, because it still happens almost like every week still. I'm like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna share, and then someone pisses me off when I share. It's getting so much better every time, though, you know, like every single time I'm like, that was a fair response, actually. That was fair.
That feels like progress.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that I'm not over here like writing you out of my life the second you open your mouth to respond to me, that's a big deal, because I really have. I mean, the thing that I think about the most right now is, honestly, do I take the time to apologize to all of these people? That's literally a question I ask myself all the time. Should I, like, for them, should I let them know I know where I went wrong and I'm really sorry? Or is it better to just know that and forgive myself and move on? Like, am I apologizing for the right reasons? Am I giving them the information that I have for the right reasons? Or is it an old people-pleasing tendency to want to make you look at me a certain way?
Where do you land on that today? Can I ask? Like, if you had to answer that question right now, if you're going to apologize to people or not, how would you answer that right now?
In this moment, I would say people-pleasing.
Yeah.
I would, because I don't, like, the damage has been done. I haven't had those relationships in so many years. There is one that I'm considering, honestly, because it was a complete ghosting friendship. Like, I just completely never talked to her again because I was so sure she wasn't a good friend. God, that's embarrassing. But yeah. So, but her, I feel different about. But when I go through the list, I'm like, you know, the damage is done. And also, none of it was that bad to where I don't think they're sitting around thinking, like, I didn't hurt people. I just was like, oh, we're not friends anymore. You know, I mean, yes, I hurt people in my friendships because I was a reactive person, but the letting go of the relationship wasn't the part that hurt them. So I'm like, I feel like I'd be saying it just so that they no longer have that picture of me in my head. So, or in their head. So it's like, well, I don't know that that's the right reason to disturb their peace.
Sure. Yeah.
It is what it is.
Can I ask another question about that?
Yeah.
One of the questions I like to ask clients is, what's the impact of that? So what I mean, other than like losing friendships, what was the impact of the way that you would kind of show up that way in relationships? Like, how did that impact you?
Truly, it just confirmed to me that I had the weight of the world on my shoulders and no one else to help me carry it, which was what I was trying to confirm. And that I was unlovable, and that I was on the periphery of all of my relationships. Nobody loved me the way I love them. So I got to just confirm that to myself all the time so that I could stay in that little safety bubble.
Yeah. Holy cow, Melissa, that makes me feel heavy.
I'm feeling so bad.
Yeah. That feels heavy.
Yeah, and it was. And that's the thing right there, is that's when I could unravel the narratives, because, man, it's crazy how it doesn't take that long to start to be able to hear it on a conscious level. All these things were happening without me knowing all the time. And that's insane to me, because those narratives were very loud. I could hear you're a shitty person, you know, like that one was easy, but I didn't understand any of the other stuff. But the second I kind of started telling my subconscious, like, hey, I want to do this better, it would like, hey, Melissa, remember how you want to do better? This might be an opportunity to practice that. It was bizarre, but it started. And so I'd be like, oh. And so, honestly, getting to the balcony and starting to be like, is this an area where, because for instance, like I'm a person who gets really, really, really upset at people who post like dead deer pictures on Facebook.
Sure.
Or sad puppy stuff, all that. I'm like, like I don't even get on Facebook that much for personal use. I just post stuff that I have to post. But I'm like, people have to quit doing this, blah, 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 because I truly believed it was the outside world's responsibility to not trigger me. This is still like, this is like a 2-month ago concept that I finally was, awoken to. Like, it's my responsibility to create the safety.
Yeah.
And that actually helped the conversation thing, because once I started to see how much I was trying to control the behaviors of others to keep myself safe, again, I was like, man, Melissa, you really did. Wow. Because, I mean, all day, every day, I'm over here trying to control the world, But I think that's what's like that, hearing people talk about it all the time, especially like on this show. That's why I love my show, because I just, if I need free advice, I might ask for it. But like, I love learning new stuff, and especially about myself, because knowing that for 44 years I was so blind to all of this, embarrassing. That is embarrassing.
Yeah. There's a continuum. That's a big word. I don't know if I'm even using it right. There's a spectrum of growth that I like to help people see. And you probably know this, but there's this reality that, as you said, we start out just oblivious to ourselves, oblivious to the things we do, oblivious to the impact of our actions. But then we move into this moment where we can start to see them in the rearview mirror, like we can't stop ourselves just yet, but we can see, a day later, a week later, a month later, hey, I did that thing and I just don't like that thing. And oftentimes our tendency is to say, man, I suck at this. I still can't get it right. I missed it. I still did the thing. I'm here to say, I actually think seeing it in the rear view is a huge step of growth. And I don't think we can go from oblivious to stopping and doing something real time without first being able to like see it later, see it in the rear view. So I'm glad you said that. I think there's something really important about holding up that rear view stage of growth.
Yeah, for sure. Because even like, I started to do, like I made this little workbook of building emotional hygiene, because I started to like, if I went through a particularly rough few weeks, I'd get through it and be like, okay, how could I have done that better? Because I felt okay and I hadn't been a psycho, so that's great. But I was like, how can I do that better? Because I would realize that I was white knuckling through things. So I was like, you know what? I need a hygiene. I got to have a practice so that when this stuff happens, I can still center and know exactly what I'm doing. How can I be more present? How can I be more mindful? How can I be more intentional?
Yeah.
And so for me, that's been really helpful. I always look back, always, because I'm like, is there something I was missing? Is there something I could have done to feel better by the time that this was over? Because once I realized it's only the middle part, your response to the stimuli, that you get control over, and how you feel after the whole thing is done. So when I realized that, I was like, okay, well, there are a few things that I never want to feel again if I can help it. And that is like helpless, hopeless, So thank you for saying that, because rear view has been very helpful and instrumental in all of this growth for me, because like I said, even though the subconscious will click pretty quickly to start to give you those subtle reminders, man, I think even then I was only hearing it because I was so ready. Like I couldn't live that way anymore. I was in profound darkness when all of this started. So I was like, eating it up, whatever will help me feel better. So, I mean, that was very, very helpful for me to just, I hear it.
Yeah. So white knuckling is a phrase that we'll use in our coaching practice quite a lot. And you said it, and I'm really like, it was a nice surprise. What do you, when you say white knuckling, like what do you mean by that? Can you like expand on what that means to you?
Yeah, because I mean, I haven't really heard, like, I just felt like that's what I was doing, because I felt all the tension in my body. like, because what happened is one of my kids got in some trouble at the end of last year. And I was like pretty stressed about it, but also I'm pretty woo woo. So I was like, oh, everything happens. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna get through this. It's fine. We're fine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make positive assumptions and just believe this is a one-time thing. I was mostly fine. But that was the only way I could describe the way I got through it, was white knuckling, because of how I felt when it was over. I was so tense and just contracted and bracing and not aware that I was doing those things. And I wasn't being intentional about joy and play. Like, that's a part of my weekly life, to make sure I'm getting enough of those things. And so that was one of the ways that I looked back. But I wasn't, the absence of intention for me equals white knuckling. Like, if I'm just looking at today only and not a big picture, that to me is white knuckling. And sometimes that's appropriate for situations. And then other times I have to understand, like, if I want to feel a certain way, I have to create that feeling. If I want to experience something, it's up to me to experience it. So I wasn't doing any of that. I was just kind of like, how do we get through today? How do we get through today? And it wasn't a bad thing. I learned some stuff from that 3 weeks. But, you know, when I looked back, I just thought, I feel like I could have, I want to say done that better, but that's not the right phrase that I really want to use. But like, in my mind, I was just like, I feel like I could have come out the other side of that a little less tense, a little less where I'm at right now. What could I have done a little differently? And for me, it was just hygiene. I just need to have a practice and be intentional about it.
Yeah.
But
That's really good.
Very real.
Yeah. I mean, I think we live in a world where we're invited to white knuckle. I mean, I think societally, culturally, I think white knuckling is almost rewarded. You know, I think if we just, where are you right now in the country?
Oklahoma.
Okay. So I don't like to assume people know this. So I'm in Iowa, and winters are terrible. And we get a lot of snow and ice. And in the wintertime, you could drive down the road at night and you can't tell what's road and what's ice, right? So you grab the wheel and you just white knuckle, just hoping and praying that you're not hitting ice. So that white knuckling is like, I'm holding on as best I can, just in case I hit that ice. But really, like, it's taking up so much energy. I can't do this for too long. Like, at some point I got to loosen this grip up. And honestly, like, white knuckling makes me a worse driver, because I can't let the car do what it wants to do. I'm just trying to control something that ultimately I can't control anyway. I think we just live in a time that rewards that sort of like over control, kind of false notion of control, when really, like, if we can let go a little bit, I think we do become a little more fully ourselves. I mean, I think that analogy breaks down in a lot of ways, but I do think there's something about.
I love the picture that it creates, honestly, because I'm like, yeah, you are guarded, you are bracing, you are laser beam focused on the problem. Think about that. Like, you're focused on the ice when you're driving like that, right? And this to me is like a real-time realization. Like, yeah, that's why, because you're so narrowly focused on what this problem is, and creating a life around the problem almost. And you know what I think too? I think that the reason that we celebrate the way we do when somebody does that, because I always say, like, I started to become very angry when people would refer to me as strong or brave or resilient or any of the things that I obviously am. Like, I get that. But before I understood that I just wasn't asking for help because I didn't know how to, I really, in my really dark time, I was like, it feels like you're watching me drowned and being like, you're doing great. You're doing great. Like, instead of throwing a life raft, you're watching me drown and saying, like, you're so strong, you're so brave. I don't want to be any of those things anymore if it means this isolated experience. But I think what I've uncovered through this work in myself is And there's a reason that the show is called what it is, because I think we are all emotionally unavailable unless we're doing this work. And if we don't know how to connect authentically, communicate authentically, be vulnerable, when we watch somebody else do something, well, it's bringing feelings up in us that we're not comfortable with sitting with. So if I can't sit with you in your stuff if I've got to shut myself down. So I think as a society, as a collective, as a species, this is just the human condition. Like, until you learn better, you're just going to back up and be like, oh, nothing I can do. I mean, you're doing great, sweetie. But I think, I mean, like, one of the first places that I understood where I was being dismissive, and actually because I have two children I have three, but two of them are 11 years apart. And the oldest and the youngest, they're the ones 11, and they're a lot alike. But I started to understand the way we dismiss others by watching my children and realizing I did this too. Like, I wasn't as bad at throwing cliches out and platitudes because I've had so much loss in my life, and I know what that feels like when people like just say stuff to you that just infuriates you because you're like, you thought that was going to help? Really? Weird. So I was pretty good at not like really minimalizing someone's experience because I knew what that felt like. But I was dismissing them by trying to fix it so fast, or unsolicited advice, not being able to just be like, it hurts me to hear you hurt. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know how to do that. But my oldest son will just, everything his sister says, he's like, you don't need to da-da-da. You didn't, you know, like, it's constantly dismissing everything she says. Now, is she a drama queen? Yeah. But I've learned the more you validate her, the less she's dramatic. You know, like, of course she's fighting to be seen in a house full of people who are like, you're too dramatic. You know what I mean? Like, and she's got brothers. They are over her shit. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, this is what we're all doing without even realizing it, is just telling people, like, there are people in China dying, okay? Why are you crying about that? And, I mean, I think my generation was really raised by some folk who told us to rub some dirt on it, walk it off. Children were to be seen and not heard. Not even seen, though. I mean, their dysregulated asses were kicking us out of the house all day because they couldn't handle the stimulation. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%.
That's why we talk so much about drinking out the water hose, because it's true. Because you weren't allowed in to even get a drink. Because also, during the summertime, the air conditioner was left on like 77 degrees because, you know, we're not going to pay that light bill. And so if you open the back door, that 77 degree air is going to get let out, and the hotter air is going to come in. That's only, 3 degrees hotter than what your house is, but still, and a fly or two that you're now going to be responsible for killing with that damn fly swatter are going to get in. And no, we just can't have all that. You need to get on your bike and ride until that street light comes on, and, quit acting like I don't feed you. That was our entire upbringing. I cannot stand how people act like it, like they just memorialize it in the most beautiful way. Listen, you can still neglect your kids if you want to. Go right ahead. The problem is that now we've got all these helicopter parents, and I was one of them for a lot of years. I actually get really frustrated because I just bought myself a bike recently and started riding with my daughter. And I'm like, well, this is why nobody's outside playing. Our neighborhood is full of people who act like we're on a Grand Prix track over here. Like, why every 5 seconds, car, we got to get over. Because I don't trust the cars to not run into us, know. But, like, you can still neglect your kids if you want to. It's fine. I mean, if that's the way you want to raise your kids, go right ahead. I'm not going to glorify all that time because, I mean, I want it inside the damn 77 degree house, to watch your stories with you. Why can't I watch the stories with you?
Yeah. Oh, man. I feel so seen, Melissa.
You got to talk to the right generation, Yeah. We know what's up.
You hit all the right buttons there. Yeah, you can have a drink. The hose is connected up outside. Sure, we don't care if your friends do that at home or not. Just drink out of the hose. I don't care if it's been boiling in the summer heat for 109 degrees for a week. That kills all the bacteria. That was the first thing
I thought when you said, yeah, you can drink out of the hose. I was like, remember whenever the first drink was like so hot, and you're like,
so hot, so hot. And like, side note, like listen, I'm kind of a germaphobe. I can't like I can't fathom sending my kid out to a 6-foot length of garden hose that has God knows what growing in it. Like,
it's just been sitting there for years.
yes, just like, yeah, so much. There's so much there. I mean, I agree with you. There is so much of that. Here's a hot take. And this may or may not be wrong. This is anecdotal. I think people do those things and give the platitudes. I think they probably do believe they're doing, something positive, or, well, when I was a kid, we had to do this, so be thankful for what you have, or whatever. I actually believe that underneath all that, they're really just trying to keep themselves safe, right? They're really just trying to keep themselves comfortable.
Absolutely.
If something happens bad to me and my neighbor doesn't know how to deal with it, of course, like, that makes them uncomfortable, and they're going to try to get me out of that so they don't have to feel uncomfortable. I think that's the root of it, right? And all the while, it just doesn't help the person hurting, right? It actually just makes it worse, and now nobody feels good.
Right. Well, and this is my hope for myself. I can't like say everyone should do this or not, but for me, I'm wanting to go that next step. Like, when I share and somebody really upsets me, I really want to go the next step and say, like, I don't like what you said. Or actually, truly, what I would really like to be is in the place where I go, I'm working through some shit that came up when you said that, and this is what comes up for me when you say that. Because when you say things like, I don't like what you said, again, you're focused on the problem. You're not, you're only looking at the ice there. And there's so many truths in a conversation between two people. And I'm just learning to take my accountability and my responsibility. Because though stoicism used to really trigger my ass, because it felt so dismissive, like, well, nobody can make you feel that except for you. I totally get it now, where it's like, no, the truth is, it is you that's creating that. So what can I do? And it's not that it's not fair to do that. I mean, we're human. We're going to do it. No worries. But if I'm looking back on a situation and I want to, like, make some tweaks, that's the first thing I look at. Did I victimize myself? Because I probably did. I probably did.
Yeah, my business partner and I, my coaching partner and I, we've been friends for a long time, way before we did this work together. And there was a season of my life where I worked for a nonprofit organization. I led some volunteer leaders, and I used to call this friend of mine, and I would vent. And basically what I was saying is, you got to hear how much these people suck, like you got to hear how hard this is. And that's essentially what I was saying, is like, this person sucks and this person sucks. And he would listen like a really good friend. And then at the end of the conversation, he always without fail asked this question. He would say, Kurt, what part are you playing in that situation? And the first couple times I was like, shut up. Didn't you hear me? I just told you how everybody else sucks.
Obviously, it's not me, bro.
Yeah. Obviously, I just told you why it's everybody else's problem. And for the first couple times, that was a really crappy question for me to have to answer. And it is still a hard question. Like, that question never gets easy. Like, how am I playing a role in keeping the status quo with it? Like, that's really hard. And I think what I've learned is it's hard. You said it before, like, it doesn't make it easy. It doesn't make any of this easy, but it does give me agency to work on the things that I can work on. Right? I can't control how someone else shows up. I can't control what someone else says to me. I can't control anybody else's behavior, but I sure can do the work to say, if that person never changes, if that person, I mean, in Brene Brown's words, if they, they're not sucking on purpose to piss me off, they're doing the best they can. If they continue to do the best they can at a low level, I need to figure out how to show up in a way that's different, that isn't triggering me, that isn't causing me to white knuckle, that isn't causing me to lose my shit every day, Right,
exactly. And the balance between avoiding your triggers and managing them, I'm in a new space with that too, because I was in a real isolated place as I healed and just didn't feel a great need to be around a bunch of people that I knew weren't gonna be it, but I'm a little lonely, so sometimes I go around the folk now, and I'm like, okay, it's not that serious. Like, yeah, that happened, but like, the old way that I would have framed everything to be righteous. That's the whole thing. Yeah. I would victimize myself, obviously to protect myself, but to feel right, to feel like I've, got the moral high ground, whatever. I mean, it's so silly now, but I mean, I think the reason, though, that so much of that was so hard is just catastrophic thinking in general. Because that was the really big one for me. I mean, I didn't just have, like, negativity or confirmation bias. Like, everything was a catastrophe. Like, I remember potty training my oldest kid and being like, if I don't do this right, we're getting a Jeffrey Dahmer. Like, period. I believed that. Every choice was two very distinct paths of right and wrong, and like heaven, hell, or complete torture versus reward. I mean, every single choice. And God, no wonder I was just, or like constantly, yes, I'd love to go camping. And then all the things that could cause us to die while camping would be like, and I'd be like, maybe we shouldn't go. Just everything was like that. And I don't have to live like that anymore, So I just try not to, but it comes up every
do you know where that comes from? Like, do you know where that comes from for you?
The catastrophic thinking?
Yeah, the catastrophic thinking, or like the need to be right or righteous. Like, do you know where that has its roots?
The need to be right, I think, comes from being raised by a narcissist. The catastrophic thinking, I think, is just a byproduct of all the trauma.
Sure.
Do you agree?
Oh, I don't know that I can answer that for you. I feel like I can ask you the right questions to get you to answer it.
But because you have a theory, or what?
No, my coaching philosophy, Melissa, is that the answer to all these questions are in you, or the answers are in the clients I serve. That my role is just to ask a question, and you'll unlock it. The question will unlock it in you. I don't know that I have any answers. I have a lot of questions, but I don't have any answers.
Well, you have good questions. I really like them. So in your Podmatch profile, you co-authored a book.
Yes.
Is that the one that is releasing today?
It is releasing today as we speak, Melissa. It is
How excited are you?
Well, that's a good question. I am trying to be excited. I think what's true is that it's been a lot of work to get here. Mm-hmm. Writing a book is a lot of detail work, and I hate details. Details drain me. My co-author and I find ourselves in the middle of an editor who's really good and a cover designer who's really good. And like all those details and revisions make me just want to crawl up in a corner and never look at this thing again. So I'm trying really hard to be excited. I'm a 9 Enneagram. I'm a people-pleasing harmonizer. So I also can't say positive things about myself really easily.
Are you a Libra?
I actually don't know. I don't know anything about astrological signs. February.
Oh. Beginning or end?
So, the end.
Oh, so you're a Pisces. Okay.
Yeah, maybe you could. What is that? Maybe you can tell me what that means.
Very sensitive, pretty intuitive. Most Pisces I know are people pleasers, but they're also very direct with their communication. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no. I'm more direct now than I've been, but yeah. Yeah, if you really, as you were growing up, leaned into the people-pleasing stuff, I mean, which, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I'm 41.
Okay, yeah. So then, we were made to be people pleasers. You know what I mean? Like, our whole generation, 100%. Let's be real. So, and we were taught you never talk back to anyone, even even if it was a stranger who was doing really bad stuff, you could tell them not to do it, but like you got to do it respectfully. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you just
Yeah.
no. So, I mean, that makes sense to me that you would have trouble like being direct in your communication. But like I have a Pisces kid, and all the Pisces that I've ever known, they've been very just direct. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
That's the only way I
Yeah.
can describe it.
I'm more direct. I mean, I've done enough self work. I can be direct today, but it was a lot of work to be direct. But I think all that to say is we're very excited about having a book to give to the world, and I mean, it feels like a finish line. It feels like an exhale day. But yeah, it's a gift. It's called "Live Fully, Lead Authentically: The Surprising Link Between Self-Awareness and Your Impact."
Oh, I love that.
You know, we don't, I mean, I told you this just a minute ago, we don't believe that we have a silver bullet to like make people better or their lives better, but we do believe that there are processes that we can invite people into and questions we can have people ask themselves that will move the needle in terms of self-awareness and wholeness and authenticity.
Absolutely. So you wrote it with your current business partner? That's
Yes,
so
yes.
cool. And you guys have been friends for how long?
We've known each other for right about 10 years, maybe a little bit longer than 10 years.
I love that.
Yeah.
Writing a book with someone, was that challenging?
No, I mean, so here's the thing. Chris Godfredson is his name. He was my first coach. He's a little bit older than me. He's a little further along in the self-awareness journey and transformation journey than I am. So he helped me into this process. And I think what's true is we think very similarly on some things, and other things we're very different.
Yeah.
And writing, the writing, we both enjoy writing. Like writing is not, at the risk of sounding arrogant as a people pleaser, writing is not super difficult for us.
Claim your gifts.
The actual writing is not very difficult. I think where it got challenging is when we think about revisions and like we each want different cover. You know, like how do we figure out who gets the font they want or the cover they, you know, all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
But
did you have real strong opinions about stylistic stuff?
I think we had some strong opinions, but we also have people in our corner that know, hey, this is going to draw eyes. Hey, this is going to play well. This is going to read well. Like we also know what we don't know.
Right.
We are not marketers. We are not designers. So when we have a designer who says, hey, if this is sitting on the shelf, it's going to draw people's eye. We can both say, yeah, that might not have been my preference, but we understand that it's better.
Oh, okay. So your heart wasn't like into the design element of things. You weren't like super emotionally attached. Okay, yeah.
No.
Yeah, I can understand that. But I just wondered like the flow of things, is that hard to do with someone else? I feel like I would have trouble with that. But you know, I like to overthink a situation. So
yeah, no, it wasn't bad. I mean, technology makes it way easier to have a flow today. So we utilize some technology to like keep a flow. But no, it was really fun.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited for you guys. And I think Riverside does this thing where at the end of the episode, like once we do our thing, it'll immediately give us a clip. So I can share a clip today and talk about your book release if you want.
Awesome. That would be great.
Okay. I'm really excited. Well, thank you so much for being on. You've been such a great guest, and I've loved our conversation. I love that you ask questions. I'm like, yes, please ask questions. And I was a little tired today, so, you know, and I'm using Riverside for the first time. So I appreciate all of your willingness to, you know, let me go through the tech issues. And I had to take my headphones off, so we're just going to hope nothing happens with that.
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much for having me.
Person ever wants to come on, that would be cool too. Whatever you want, man. I am building community, and so I'm trying to keep people in my network and collaborate in the future if ever there's an opportunity to do that. Whatevs.
Yeah.
So stay open to that, and I'm really excited for you, and I've just really loved meeting you today.
Yeah, same. Thanks for having me. I've super enjoyed talking with you.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna push stop really quick, but don't go anywhere.
Okay. Can I
Thanks for coming to Emotionally Unavailable. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share. Emotionally Unavailable. Hey, make sure you've given the show a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're listening to if you haven't already. And check out my website, empoweredwithmelissahepner.org, or my link tree on Instagram at melissa.hepner to check out my latest offers or workshops. Emotionally Unavailable. All right, that's it from me. So make sure that you check out the show notes for links. And until next time, let's all just keep swimming. Emotionally Unavailable.
INDEPE and cut.